topic of the show. Sonic.
Sonic.
Sega. Alright, I was hoping you'd have some more back and forth.
No, that was about it.
Sonic is celebrating his 25th anniversary, and we got the most cringeworthy stream ever, along with 2 new video game announcements that were really cool. First and foremost, Sonic Team Sega.
What?
The people there, get your act together for your next live stream.
Hey, yeah.
And start it when you say you're going to start it. Because here's the deal that happened with me.
Yeah.
First and foremost, we're hyped for these games. We'll get to that later. But I tell my wife, yo, 8 p.m. tonight, stop everything. We're watching this live stream. I've been waiting for a new Sonic game forever. Generations was my jam. Doctor. We're going to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So, 750 hits. We put a pause on Mad Men. We get everything situated. I pour myself some juice. I get all situated on the couch. I'm all excited. I have it pulled up on Twitch. I notice that there's about 20 past broadcasts, each one 10 seconds long. And all the chat's just going, what's happening? 8 p.m. hits, nothing's happening. I quickly switch over to YouTube to see if that one's working. Nothing. It goes on. We're waiting. Awkward dancing finally from the Sonic mascot. 8:40 hits. We have an outage in our neighborhood. I lose internet. Sega! You ruined my night.
It was 30 minutes in when we finally got some awkward dancing and hopping.
And when did, because I think it was after 9 when they finally showed the trailer, right?
I think it was 9 exactly, basically.
Yeah.
It was right around 9, and even that was like plagued with issues, and they had to replay the trailer a couple times because they played it twice in a row for some reason, because I think the first time it was kind of like there was a buzz in it, and the guy that was hosting the event, the Twitter guy, was like, he would start randomly going like testing 1, 2 and talking while there was a trailer playing. Like, so he would just pop up in the background. It's like, no, we're like trying to premiere a worldwide trailer, and there was a constant buzz for half
honestly
of the
like
show.
one of the biggest Sonic announcements probably in 20 years.
Yeah.
And it was just completely butchered. That being said, it was the biggest Sonic announcement probably in about 20, 15 years, or like a couple decades or something. I mean, huge announcement. Sonic Mania was announced, in case you missed it. Be sure to check out the trailer if you just YouTube or Google or check out Sonic Mania. You can find it there. It's a new 2D adventure, pixel art based. It's not 2.5D or something like that. It is completely 2D. Very much so reminiscent of the original style, with some added 2016 flair. If you listen back to our episode of Koppai Podcast with guest Matt Rathel, one of the guys behind Hype Jump, he was on the show, and he actually had a very good discussion on modern day pixel art. How there's voxels and vixels and all these sorts of things that you can do different shading and 3D rendering within a pixel realm that looks like pixels, but it's actually so much more complex than it was back in the day. Yeah. To make some really cool visuals, which it seems like Sonic Mania is taking advantage of.
Yeah, definitely. Because we see them go like behind certain walls and have really cool, interesting effects that we really haven't seen in any like classic Sonic titles ever. So it's
well, even the end of the trailer has him kind of like spinning in the start menu sort of thing, just to show off the fact that it almost seems like a 3D pixel game. Like it's so weird. Like the animations and the detail they've put in. It's like a 60 frames per second thing. And we watched some coverage online that had gameplay, and like it's crazy when he slows down. It's like 60 different sprite animations for him stopping his feet. Yeah. Where he's like really kind of kicking at his feet and moving his hands back. Like it looks so slick and fluid. And there's other things like silhouettes and explosions and shading and light that they really take advantage of. This will be on next gen hardware only. It'll be PC, PS4, and Xbox One exclusive. It's not coming to Nintendo, and if they didn't put NX in the corner, it probably won't be coming to the NX either. Yeah. Which is unfortunate. Probably because I think it's coming this year. Oh no, spring 2017.
Yeah.
And so maybe it'll be a late release for the NX or something,
Yeah.
but
There's no way it could be on the NX if it in its launch
yeah.
window. So
And Wii U would probably just be sent out to die. So yeah,
I would not be surprised. I would definitely expect it to be on the NX, especially since the one title is already confirmed coming to NX. It's probably gonna be that case where it's a late release. Just
Sonic
because
Generations though didn't, which was weird because Sonic Generations 2 is coming to
but
the
Sonic
NX.
Generations did come to the 3DS, which is interesting.
Yes, so it's all out of whack.
Most likely, I would expect that Sonic Generations just couldn't really take the Wii U and still look beautiful and be fluid
Yeah.
and everything like it is.
But no, it came out on the PS3 and stuff.
That's true, but
And Wii U is more powerful, but
I
Wii U is also
guess.
trickier to develop for, I think. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
It's a rigmarole. Renegade Kid, a developer studio, has offered to port it to the 3DS. We don't know if that's confirmed yet, like if they're actually gonna be able to.
I doubt it.
Wouldn't be surprised if it eventually gets the next release. Yeah, moving through the notes. The trailer was super epic. Awesome music, very slick design.
Yeah.
I love the kind of Persona 4 sort of like retro colors they had that were going on through the whole thing. I love that the art for Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles was all retro, and it wasn't like their Sonic Boom designs. Like very much so, kind of a slap in the face.
The design seemed very much just completely straight ripped from 1992.
Yeah.
In 93 or whatever when Sonic and Knuckles came out. It seemed like it was the original art designs from the past. It like not even redesigned or anything. So, because what it looked to me is like definitely even just the style of how it was drawn, it seemed really old and like
Yeah.
So
yeah, it
it's
looks
really awesome.
it looks super slick.
The design of like the level, the Studiopolis zone or whatever they showed off, reminded me a lot of Ollie Ollie 2. Right when we saw that immediately, because that kind of had that same sort of trying to make it look almost like Hotline Miami 2 in a way, of just this retro thing that's going on, of just the purples and the warm violets and oranges and things.
Well, you have
very
that going
80s.
on nowadays. Like Trials of the Blood Dragon and Far Cry Blood Dragon, Hotline Miami, Party Hard. Even like the whole Vans Cross Nintendo lineup is all like pixel based. Seems to definitely like be this love for like lots of 90s nostalgia going on right now. And I think it's at the perfect time too, where it's just like, maybe Sonic Team was afraid to go back to the pixel art base for a long time, but this is what we've always been asking for with Super Mario and stuff, is like because I don't really like the art style of the new Super Mario Brothers games. I'm always like, I wish it was like Shovel Knight, where it's just take advantage of modern technology but make it so it's pixel based. I mean, Super Mario Maker does that perfectly, where it's finally.
I'm just kind of thinking right now about how it'd probably be a perfect time to throw in that we really hope that Nintendo kind of steps up hopefully they already have this planned, but I think they could like totally top this Sonic Mania if they went back and did a 2D like Super Mario World successor sort of thing in 2016 or 2017, because Sonic Mania is really like largely being put together because of the fact that the games were remastered in HD and put on mobile devices and all of that. So they had the new engine all made, and they had a really easy way to create a new game out of that. I wonder if Nintendo, having made Mario Maker and brought all these games into the HD realm, especially like the old sprite-based games, and they've even been developing brand new sprites for Super Mario Maker of like Bowser that we saw, and a lot of the sprites that didn't exist in previous games that they had to remake. It would seem like perhaps they got into a mood of creating sprites again, and they have a new engine that they could use, just like the Mario Maker sort of formula, a really simple way to do new level designs, and then like the expert level designers at Nintendo who make great Mario levels. It would seem like a perfect storm and then like having seen that Sonic Mania just came out to a huge reception, that they're doing the NES Mini and doing a lot of throwbacks. It's just like super popular right now. And this
Yeah.
seems like the perfect time. Like, hopefully Nintendo does the same thing with their Super Mario Maker engine or something like that.
And hopefully, everyone needs to go out and buy Sonic Mania and pre-order it, like, especially pre-order it. That's a big thing to show your support and
Yeah.
trust of the developers. They have my pre-order whenever that's available, collector's edition, whatever I can get. The big thing though is to support the game so it gets a lot of sales because one, we want to tell Sonic Team that they should do Sonic Mania 2 and 3 and Sonic Mania Knuckles, but also tell other developers that pixel art games and these retro kind of style 2D games are still like viable. Like I don't know, it just ever since the N64 era that just kind of stopped where everyone was like, let's all do 3D stuff now or 2.5D at least. And like, I don't know why, but I just don't like it when a game is this 2.5D sort of stuff. 'Cause it's just like,
Yeah.
there's a few that pulled off well.
Well, like I was gonna say that it didn't really necessarily stop with the N64 because we still had the Game Boy Advance come out, which was
Yeah.
basically a Super Nintendo console that was handheld, and it had a lot of people developing for it, and we got the Sonic Advance games on that, which was really one of the last like really great kind of 2D Sonic platforming games that came out. Those were actually they were pretty easy, simple platformers, but they were really fun to play, and they had a lot of that spirit of the original games, kind of brought into a modern twist with they made you be able to grind with your soap shoes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but and then with the
I
DS even a
love
bit.
grinding in Sonic. That's always so fun.
Yeah.
Like,
With the DS a bit, I think that took away because of the touch controls a bit of just like that natural 2D gaming experience that we had from the old days because a lot of people were trying those touch gimmicks. But I think it had also still a bit of that N64 era SNES kind of stuff on that console too. And then so it seems like we kind of got a shift to the handhelds, and even on Vita and PSP, a lot of people developed a lot of retro kind of styled games on there. So, I mean, and then nowadays we're kind of getting the N64 days back on 3DS with a lot of their graphics, and even those are kind of pushed to more Wii and Wii U sometimes standards. So it's kind of a blur more so nowadays, but it does feel like I do like the fact that even though like console gaming made the switch after N64 to mostly just trying to push the 3D games, I think a lot of people seem to neglect the fact that basically the Game Boy Advance is an SNES handheld, and it's really cool to look at it that way as an era continuing into the thousands into what people
you have
like.
that purple look to it, like the
Yeah.
SNES controller and stuff.
The only big difference I find between like the Game Boy Advance versus the SNES era is that the Game Boy Advance, sort of looking at it as an SNES system, is like it's made for a small screen, so a lot of the text in the games are blown up a lot larger, and you don't see as much of the screen because it's not being expected to be on a giant TV screen. So it feels like a lot of Game Boy Advance experiences are a bit like cut down resolution wise and then blown up a bit. So there's a bit of a difference there, and all kind of stylistic changes of trying to like stick with the era of that time. But yeah, it's just kind of cool that the eras I don't think ever completely die, but we are definitely in like a resurgence period for sure. Like this year especially, of a lot of like with the blowing up of indie titles that basically rose up on the retro kind of style of gaming and now have become so big that that's even becoming more blurred now that we see like big teams making the jump into
Well, that was the
going
thing,
back.
is like you have a developer like Naughty Dog that makes like hyper realistic visual games,
Yeah.
and they're successful, and for some reason everyone thought they had to do that. So it's like, let's make a super realistic Sonic game, or let's make a super realistic 3D platformer like this is like Little Big Planet, like let's make this 3D like a 2D platformer look super like real, and that's nice and stuff, but then you don't have these pixel art games. And I hope my fear with that and stuff is that now you're gonna have everyone be like, wait, people like pixel art, let's all do pixel art. And it's like, no, Naughty Dog, you do realism very well, stick with that. Nintendo, you do Pixar very well. You do Pixar graphics. You know, like Sonic, maybe you can master this whole pixel art thing again, and just
Well,
everyone
yeah,
everyone kind of find their ecosystem, and not to like tie people down, because I think
yeah.
that can get kind of sad too when you like tie down someone's
Mhm.
artistic ability by saying stick in your niche and rock it. But at the same time, like I wish more of these developers would go just like an inch wide but a mile deep, instead of everyone trying to go miles and miles wide but then not get super into it. Because that's the thing, is Naughty Dog is one of the best developers in the world because they found their niche and are just sticking with it, which is just like basically cinematic gaming,
Yeah.
and they're not deviating from that, and they're still allowing themselves to be creative and try new things, but they're sticking to the formula they know, and
Yeah.
there's a balance and a discernment, I think, between the innovation and just sticking with what you know. And
Well,
Sonic Team's a prime example of someone that just went way off the deep end with trying new stuff.
mhm.
Um,
Well,
and I,
I would
oh
argue
yeah, go
that
ahead.
possibly like Nintendo, a studio as big or a company as big as Nintendo, I would think could divide their talents into separate entities of like, this team still creates Super Mario Galaxy style games and the Super Mario 3D worlds and things like that, but maybe a smaller team goes off and does the sprite-based Mario game, sort of like that, where I guess even in the case of Sonic, the new Sonic game, Sonic Mania, is being maybe slightly overlooked by Sonic Team, but really is largely has nothing to do with the Sonic Team. It's mostly being led by the Christian Whitehead guy and all those other teams that are working on it, whereas Sonic Team's mostly focused on the new Sonic 2017 title that's we really don't have much information about yet. And so it seems like Nintendo could do basically the same thing where they have their main team that still focuses on the Pixar style of Mario. But
Mhm.
why not have a team that goes off and does a little slight mod of the Super Mario Maker engine and creates a whole new game based on that? Because it seems like we had a smaller team make like Captain Toad and stuff. Uh, that they've made other games. I can't recall, but we've had a couple titles now from what they've. I think Splatoon is another like major one that was from a younger, experimental more team at Nintendo, and they're so big. They have billions of dollars. They're just making more money now that it seems they could easily split up so that they don't have to like say, oh, everybody's doing pixel art, let's do that. They could still do like one pixel art game and we'd still get all the other things. So I think like the ecosystems can kind of work together. Like, why does pixel art have to die and 3D games become the majority, and why do 3D games have to die out for a while for pixel art games to become the majority? Like, what they should do is just kind of go back and forth, or maybe make the new 2D Mario adventure only on the 3DS or the new 3DS, and have the main 3D Pixar kind of Mario games on the NX, something like that,
Mhm.
where it kind of splits up those resources, but they can kind of get the best of both worlds. It seems like a really great idea, because I really want to see Nintendo do the Mario going back to the
Yeah.
retro. That'd be just so cool, because we grew up kind of on both games, so it seems like really amazing to just see the Sonic game, a new Sonic 2D title, and to just kind of get those feelings again of back in the day, just the nostalgia of you and I playing Sonic 2, and so much of like getting into the music of it and playing
Mhm.
those first 5 zones like over and over and over and over again. It just kind of brought back a lot of those feelings, and we played quite a bit of Super Mario World too, a ton of that, and Dad was really into Super Mario World 2, so it just seems like if they brought that kind of style back and even made it like the next step, the next evolution of that, it would feel so good. It'd be hit right in the nostalgias, I feel.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and I'm also super pumped for Sonic Generations 2, aka Project Sonic 2017. That's coming to the Nintendo NX. We'll have to talk about that more later, because honestly, it was more just kind of like a proof of concept sort of video for that, basically confirming that they are making another 3D Sonic that'll be very similar to Sonic Generations 2. It has
yeah,
classic Sonic and
it's
stuff, and so.
basically Sonic Generations 2, and it really reminded me of when we first saw Sonic Generations, I think basically we got a trailer of Sonic running through a black and white world that kind of was like becoming color, and we kind of just saw the classic Sonic and kind of got an idea. I don't think it was anything like a reveal of gameplay right off the bat. I think it was just a tease just like this of, oh, Sonic, modern Sonic and classic Sonic are coming together, and it looks like there's some elements of like the classic games and stuff. Seems like, I think that basically it's the same kind of trailer. It's just more apocalyptic and like a sequel-ish. So it seems like a sequel to Sonic Generations, but they could possibly be trying to go more story route with it. Like maybe they got some complaints about Sonic Generations that it would have been cool if there was actually some sort of story to this instead of just level after level or zone after zone or something. So
yeah, that's all I needed with Sonic Generations. But yeah, a cohesive story to kind of tie it all together could be nice. I was actually just replaying through that just like a couple weeks ago, Sonic Generations, and kind of testing out the kind of strength on my computer. So.
I really don't mind no story in a Sonic game. It's like when we just get in there and go like Sonic 2 and all the original classic Sonic games and stuff, like, and how Sonic Generations was basically set up. I think it had some very, very minor story to it, but basically just going zone to zone is basically what Sonic just needs to do. When they try to get these stories and they make them all anime kind of inspired, I really think, like Dragon Ball Z ripoff, basically. Yeah. It's like, come on. We really don't need it. It's unnecessary and mostly just falls flat, I feel, for the most part, except for a very young audience, usually, who really still are into the whole, like, Dragon Ball Z and think it's really cool to see Sonic with Super Saiyan hair, or, like, a silver one like that, and stuff, and all these different, like, really anime-styled, but, or the people who are nostalgic for it, which I think we are to some degree, but for the most part can just live without. It's like we did have Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 and really appreciated them and that kind of style, and it was fun for the time, but really it's not like they were brilliant, amazing stories that's what makes Sonic Sonic. We just need to have good gameplay. Gameplay definitely needs to be what Sonic focuses on, because that's where it's been falling flat for the most part. So
yeah, we're going to reflect on Sonic in our Patreon exclusive episode for the month of July. That'll be going up very shortly before the month is over. And so be sure, if you're getting early access to this episode, you can go ahead and check that out over there. Before the month is over, we have a few episodes up over there where we're going to be reflecting on all the previous Sonic games, as well as the hype for Sonic Mania that we didn't get discussed here in the topic of the show. Also, just a quick reminder, if you're listening to this individual topic as a snippet, if you do want to get all this news and discussion early, be sure to donate $1 over to patreon.com/Koppai Gaming, where you can get all of that goodness. But moving on, we need to wrap up the show. We have two quick little segments left that we're going to do. Let me go ahead and make a quick timestamp here.